This is part 4 of the tutorial on making the useless box, the top part. So in this tutorial we're going to add the hole for the switch. So we will start with selecting the top, create 2D sketch, zoom in here a tiny bit, and a switch consists of a circle, which we'll put in, and we're going to put it dead center for right now, and it consists of a rectangle. And the little rectangle actually is meant, there's a little tab on a switch to hold the rectangle in place, or sorry, the switch in place so that it doesn't spin in the hole. So there's my two basic parts, and as usual we dimension them. This circle radius is going to be 0.23. This rectangle, when I zoom into here, the top, I'm going to measure the top, this part here is going to be 0.12. The sides are going to be 0.06. And you can see I came off center, so I'm just going to grab this right now. We're just going to hit escape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the move, and we're going to move and select this whole thing. And we're going to go to a move base point. We're going to select that base point there, which is the center, and we're going to snap it back onto that line. Okay, so it's back in place. Okay, so now that we got those in place, we'll continue on with our measurements. So our next measurement is going to be the distance between the two. So I'm going to go dimension from right here to the center. Now that distance there is 0.225. So it puts those close together. And the final dimension we need to do is just have it, what is the distance from one of the edges? So I'm going to go from the top edge, and I'm going to go from this edge here to the center of the circle. And from over here, this one here is going to be 0.75. So that puts our circle and our little tiny rectangle roughly in the right spot. And later on, what you're going to have to do is actually adjust it from one side to the other depending on where your servo finger lines up, and we'll talk about that later on. So that's basically where it sits. We hit finish, and the rest is kind of pretty self-explanatory by now. You click on extrude. I'm going to select the circle, and I'm going to select that little rectangle, and I'm just going to change it to cut, and it's just going to move this a tiny bit. We're going to go to next surface, to next, which means it's just really short, and click on OK, and there we have the spot where our switch will eventually go into. And again, this later on in another tutorial, we're going to show you how to kind of move it to line up with the actual servo motor. Also, to finish off here, I'm just going to flip this upside down, and we're going to add a little tiny tab to the bottom of this. So I'm just going to go and complete bottom so you can see it. And what you need is a little tiny tab that hangs over the edge here to take the lid. So we're just going to create a little box on this surface. And that box, it really can be any size. Sorry, not a box. I apologize. I can escape to get out of this. Create 2D sketch on that surface. And it just has to hang over a little bit so that the lid holds on it. So I'm just going to create a rectangle. Again, we're going to find dead center here. And I'm just going to create it, I don't know, like this. And we'll simply add a little dimension to it. So let's keep this dimension. Let's say this is going to be, I don't know, 0.4. It doesn't really matter. And this way, we'll add this to be 0.3 maybe. And then finally, a little dimension just to hold it off the edge. So go like this, and that's going to be, I don't know, 0.2. It doesn't really matter. Oops, wrong way, which I went the wrong way here. Sorry, I'm going to take this. What happens if you go negative 0.2? Nope, doesn't like that one. So we're just going to get out of this dimension, hit escape, delete this dimension. And what we'll do is we'll take from this one to there, click dimensions, try that once more, click from there to there. I'm going to change that to 0.2. There you go, kind of hangs over the edge. So that gives you just a little bit of a lip. Click on finish, and then we'll just extrude it. And all we're going to do is extrude this little piece here. Let's click it, make sure I grab it right. And it doesn't have to be very thick. So we're going to leave it at, I don't know, maybe 0.1 of an inch. And then there we go. Okay, so now what we have is a little tiny tab sticking out in the center, right? So when the lid comes down, it actually clicks on that lid. And that will end tutorial 4.